Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting edition of The Card is Going to Change, brought to you by AIW. On this week's episode, we will talk about the show that took place on December 30th, 2016, the Jelly of the Month Club. It was the last show of 2016 for AIW. My name is Steve Guy. I will shortly be joined by AIW owners John Thorne and Chandler Biggins to discuss this. But first, we want to mention our sponsors. Big thanks to Smart Mark Video, who takes care of all of our recording at our events. Catch them. They've got DVDs, they've got MP4s, however you want to stream the videos, so make sure you check that out from them. Also, thanks to Angelo's Pizza, always feeding us and taking care of us, making sure that we're very full. Our stomach's not warm this episode. And then, of course, we want to thank Jack Prince, who takes care of all of our printing needs.
JAKPrince.com.
Really struggling through the open. All right, so we're going to talk.
Bad one. I got to correct you.
Well, JAKPrince.com is your word there, Chandler Biggins. That is Chandler Biggins, one of the owners. John Thorne also here with us. And today, as I mentioned, we are talking about Jelly of the Month Club. Gentlemen, it was fun. John Thorne doesn't remember a lot of it.
I don't remember any of it.
Well, I know people got real depressed on the Double Dare episode because it seems like, personal tragedy is something that mars some of our shows. And I remember there was a December show. My father passed away on Tuesday, and Friday we had a show, and we're of the mindset where you never cancel. And then, Double Dare, we talked about how I lost one of my best friends, and we had the show the following week. So this is something that is not uncommon in the AIW realm of trying to work out shows when there's tragedy in your family.
We wish it were. We wish it were uncommon.
Oh, for sure, but it's just one of those things where, it happens more than we would like.
Yeah, it was a crazy week for me. The day after Christmas, my uncle was found dead at my grandmother's house in the middle of the afternoon. So it was very unexpected. He was just in town for Christmas with his family from North Carolina. Came in on Friday, was supposed to leave on Tuesday. He died on Monday. So then that became just a crazy week for myself and my family, trying to, get things organized for a funeral, and just really, really just depressing time coming out of the holidays and stuff like that.
And I think especially in your family's case, a lot of stuff was done around Christmas time. I look at Christmas as one of my father's holidays, so it's never been the same. And I think with Thorne's losing his mother, I think holidays have never been the same. So holidays are just rough around the entire AIW management circles.
Yeah, it was just it was weird. It was a weird time. My mom had just passed away about a year and a half ago. The whole family comes together pretty much just on Christmas. We have a pretty decent Christmas, and then the next day, my uncle is found dead. So that just became an awful thing to deal with, especially for my grandmother. That's her third child to die. So that was like a whole crazy ordeal of me trying to kind of keep her, her spirits up as much as possible. Friday, I was a pallbearer. Friday morning, I was a pallbearer at his funeral. There was like a after luncheon type of thing with an open bar, which I took full advantage of. And I just kept drinking throughout the day until I made my way to AIW, and I was in a full blackout by the time I got to AIW.
Well, and, when he first told me, he goes, I don't know what the arrangements are going to be, but it's going to be a rough week for me. And so I told him, and I talked to a couple of our key people, and I'm like, hey, we need you to step up this week, because basically I knew he was going to be gone all week, so any show issues I was going to have to deal with, or delegate stuff to people. But thank God we have a great staff and crew, so they were able to handle everything and handle all that. And then Thorne, basically, other than two things I needed that week, he was pretty much, I would talk to him about stuff, but, there wasn't any tasks for him left to do, which, normally the week of the show is, that's D-Day basically the whole week.
Yeah, it was just like it was crazy because we didn't know. I didn't know, when the wake was gonna fall, when the funeral was gonna fall.
'Cause I don't think you even said you were going to be at the show till I think like Wednesday night. You're like, I can make it now, but I got to do stuff all day.
Yeah, because we just didn't know how that was gonna play out because since he had been living in North Carolina for the last 10 years, there was a discussion of possibly doing it all in North Carolina. So my family didn't know if we were gonna have to, kind of pack up and shoot to North Carolina or what. So it was kind of a hectic thing trying to work all that out with, my aunt, his wife, and my grandma, and everybody else that, the rest of the family. So once it was finally worked out, I was able to kind of coordinate my schedule that I was going to be free by the afternoon on Friday, and I was going to be able to make it. But yeah, that was definitely a weird situation coming through dealing with all that throughout the week, and then still kind of in the back of my head worrying that, I do have a show to still kind of promote and help with, and, people that still, were contacting me and stuff like that because, that doesn't stop. Like, the show doesn't stop for something going bad in my life.
Shows don't stop for anything. The days fly by until it's there.
So, it was definitely a crazy situation. I end up, having some drinks in the afternoon after the funeral because it was I'm not gonna lie, it's a
couple.
Yeah, it's a pretty heavy thing to be a pallbearer. I never did that before. That is intense.
Yeah,
that's an intense thing to deal with.
It's an honor, but it's not.
Yeah,
fun.
it's pretty. It messes with you a little bit
not
mentally.
A celebratory thing,
Right.
Yeah, it messes with you a little bit mentally, and so I ended up drinking, and then after it's all done, Nick Sank, the AIW bartender, he came and picked me up, and then we were on our way to AIW, and I said, well, let's stop at a bar. We kept drinking, and then
shout out to Happy Dog.
Yeah, shout out to Happy Dog. I went to Happy Dog.
I get a text. We're setting up the venue, and I get a text from Thorne. It goes, "I'll be there a couple minutes. I'm stopping at Happy Dog," and then that was about 2 hours.
Yeah. So I was feeling pretty good, and I legitimately I think it is the AIW show I saw the least of because I get there, I talk to some people, whatever. It was really nice. A lot of people gave me their condolences. A lot of fans stopped me. It was pretty it was a pretty nice thing to kind of feel that from not only the AIW locker room, but tons of fans, stopped and spoke to me, and that was a pretty cool thing to
and I
experience.
think anybody that didn't stop you stopped me to send their regards to you because they didn't want to bug you.
Yeah, so it was just it was kind of nice to use AIW as an escape, so to speak, instead of it was dealing with all that stress and then just being able to go and just be around all those people and have a good time. It was definitely something that I needed. So thanks to everybody that spoke to me, and it meant a lot.
So that being said, and again, if I could, on behalf of you guys, thanks to everybody in AIW that did step up throughout that week, and I think that speaks volumes of the AIW family, knowing, hey, this is a moment that we all kind of need to take charge in different avenues and different things, and everybody did a great job. So, but getting into the show itself, oddly enough, this was a show that when it was first kind of planned, it kind of centered around the after party, which was to be the Ronda Rousey fight. Your best friend, Chandler Biggins.
Yeah, my best friend. We were talking before on like the AMA episode about scheduling around other things and all this stuff, and we picked out this date because it's hard to run before Christmas in December because people are using all their money for like gifts and
Sure.
Family stuff. And then it seems like the good part of December is between Christmas and New Year's, and it just fell on the 30th this year. And usually we have no problems running, between Christmas and New Year's. Well, then all of a sudden there's rumors of a UFC show, and we're like, oh, that's weird because I thought they were on Saturdays, which, that won't affect us too much. But then we heard rumblings of Ronda Rousey, and then we're like, oh, shit, because, we were thinking this is going to be one of the craziest things ever. And, obviously, we had Ronda Rousey this year, so we want to, play towards that. So we're thinking, let's set up an after party, which we did. And we're going to keep the show shorter because I definitely think that, when the pay-per-view buys come in, it's going to be a major major hit.
Yeah, we knew, we kind of planned for this months in advance because once the rumors kind of started coming out that Ronda was coming back, it was coincidentally right after she had appeared at AIW. So, I had spoke to Shayna and I said, hey, what do you know about this? And it was kind of like, hey, I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's going to happen before it was announced. So we kind of knew to plan accordingly because we knew no matter what, even if you're not a UFC fan, people wanted to see a Ronda Rousey fight for the most part. For better or worse, people wanted to watch it.
And with the whole story and everything, we thought this is going to be a huge cultural thing, not just oh, I like MMA.
Yeah, so we had planned well in advance to keep it a much shorter show so people could so we could accommodate people and they could do both.
And initially, there were thoughts we were going to have Shayna booked on the show, correct?
And she was booked, but then she got the Japanese tour that she's on now.
Yeah, so initially we were going to do something similar to Bloodsport, that's why we had Matt Riddle initially booked. We had Shayna booked, and Shayna was offered the tour of Stardom, and she'd kind of she asked if she could take the show off, especially since the big we didn't really discuss last week, but the big blow off match that we wanted to do was her and Heidi for a rematch, and since we had to do that well in advance, before we really wanted to do it, we did it at Hell on Earth to get Heidi one last time. We had no problem giving Shayna December off, because that was really the big money match as it was. So we had really no issue with that, and then obviously the whole Matt Riddle thing happened. So then we just we make sure not to book too many people for the event, so we could keep it short because we knew that on top of it all, people wanting to see Rousey, they knew that Rousey wasn't going to fight till at least midnight.
Right. So then we get the show is happening in itself, and we talked about last episode a gentleman who took about a decade off of wrestling, opened up Hell on Earth, and it went so well, why not give Mike Tolar the opportunity to open up Jelly of the Month Club as well? So Mike Tolar makes his second match back from retirement.
He's back full time. He, Thorne said last week, he's feeling it.
And he had the match with Shawn Schultz, and that was a solid opener. It was fun. People really enjoyed it.
We've talked multiple times about how we try to cater to different styles on our shows and have the smorgasbord of styles. And I think they definitely were kind of a not a WWE style, but like a more ground-based professional wrestling style.
Just like a good old-fashioned, pro wrestling.
Just solid work.
Yes, and both of those guys are, Shawn Schultz especially is, what they would probably call a good hand or whatever in professional wrestling. The guy has all the fundamentals in the world. Extremely, extremely talented guy. So we also wanted to put him in there with Tolar because Tolar's, just coming back, and it's just let's expedite Tolar's, kind of refresher getting back into the world of pro wrestling and put him in there with Shawn Schultz, who's going to get the best out of him and, kind of bring it out of him and bring things out of Tolar that he probably didn't even think that he could still even do because, like we said last week, he's taken a decade off of wrestling. So this is only his second match back in a decade.
And it's our whole thing of throwing people right into the fire.
And for those keeping track, Mike Tolar wore the black trunks with silver pockets on the back.
Those pockets. Gotta love the pockets.
The next match we had kind of an ongoing storyline with AIW. BJ Whitmer and Dominic Guarini. Crowd loving the fact that the Duke took the pile driver from Dominic Guarini.
That degenerate gambler, the Duke.
Yeah, we wanted to potentially get some more podcasts with the Duke, but he's got a lot of money riding on the pro NFL these days. So he's got to keep an eye on all his wagers. He doesn't have time to podcast.
If the Duke shows up one time and he's missing fingers or has a busted kneecap, it's he couldn't make his bets.
The third match of the night ended up being the singles debut for the 7 Foot Savage PB Smooth at AIW. as he took on Eddie Kingston.
Yeah, talk about throwing into the fire. PB Smooth, we've talked about him before on the podcast. I don't think, and same thing we did with Frankie Flynn, I don't think there's anything scarier than realizing Eddie Kingston, the guy that hardweight bloodied most of the Chikara roster at one point or another, is coming. And we kept telling Kingston leading up to this match, we want Yonkers Eddie, not Orlando Disney World Universal Studios Eddie.
Yeah, it's one of those things like, talking about giving Dominic Garrini an opportunity. Same thing with PB Smooth. It's just like, these guys are very, very new in pro wrestling, and we're trying to create some new talent. And what better way than saying, hey, get in there with Eddie Kingston's like a 16-year veteran or something,
And to jump back, that's the same thing with Dominic Garrini with Zack Sabre or BJ Whitmer. I know he has a feud right now with BJ, but like BJ Whitmer and Kingston are two guys I think could teach anybody anything.
And I think they're two very underappreciated guys, I guess, in the overall grand scheme of professional wrestling as far as fans go. There's not two more knowledgeable and solid guys for new talent to learn from or get something out of than working with BJ Whitmer and Eddie Kingston. And that's what we wanted to do with PB. It's just one of those things. PB is he drives 90 minutes twice a week each way to come and train at the AIW school. He has a lot of dedication, and he has he really wants to advance his career, and he is investing a lot of time in himself and training and things like that. So that's the kind of guy that we're going to give an opportunity to.
Yeah, because he's 7 feet tall. He has all these different physical abilities. He could just rest on his laurels, but that's a guy who's working as hard as anybody.
Yeah, he has all the physical attributes in the world, but he still needs to learn the actual art of professional wrestling. Right. And let's throw him in there with a veteran like Eddie Kingston, and just like we said with Dominic Garrini, give him enough rope to hang himself with. He's either going to sink or swim, and I think he did very well from what I'm told. I didn't see it at all.
He did do
well.
Look
at the MP4 when
it comes
out.
It was a good match. Shout out to our boy Eddie Kingston for getting that Impact Twitter handle now. Get on TV 5-6 times, and now you have a second Twitter account. Not verified yet.
Slap nuts, that's all I'm saying.
I got slapped in the nuts by Eddie Kingston.
That's not what I was talking about. That was 22, though.
Oh, okay. Well, it happened.
Planet Jarrett, baby.
The chosen one.
The next match that we had kind of had to come about because, as we talked about in the last episode, Gringo Loco on the mend from having a heart attack, so we had to bring in different tag teams. There's the Jollyville Fuckets back again, and they were taking on the Carnies, who some people may recognize, formerly known as Team IOU. They participated in the Double Dare weekend, and a lot of AIW fans really were excited to see this team back.
And Double Dare was their second to last time as IOU, I believe.
Yes.
And, that's one of those things that, the Matt Riddle situation happens, and, it benefits guys like, the Carnies, Team IOU, because we needed a spot filled, and they were available. So,
and they're the type of guys that if you give them a doorway, they're going to kick the door down. That's just how they are. We were talking about in the winter episode Tyler Black, and he's never going to miss a date. Like the Carnies are that type of mentality where we'll go anywhere in the country, and we're never going to miss a date. And like you got to respect that kind of. Kicking doors down and doing whatever they can to make it.
Yeah, so, I guess, they turned the negative into a positive. And, from, like I said, I didn't see any of the show really, but
right.
from reviews and feedback on social media and things like that, they more than over-delivered against the Fuckets.
And, I think they're a team that, they might not be on every show, but we'll definitely try to use them because they fit in great. They do a hell of a job out there. Their new gimmicks are great, the top hat and the mask. They're just solid all around.
Yeah, really helping to bring about and, I guess, regrow, so to speak, the AIW tag team division overall. And to John's point, yes, that was initially the match, too, that was supposed to feature the tag team of Matt Riddle and Hot Sauce Tracy Williams. That didn't happen. The Carnies step up. They step in. Hot Sauce Tracy Williams still on the card. He happens to be in the next match, which was a 4-way, and Hot Sauce picks up the win over Laredo Kid, Sanjay Dutt, and back at AIW, the bad boy Joey Janela and he brought some company this time. And
the bad girl.
Penelope Ford. Now, how did you handle that, Chandler Biggins? Did you talk to her? Were you okay?
Oh, I have no problem with her.
Oh, she was fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
she was fine. She shook my hand, and Joey asked Thorne and I, he goes, can the bad girl be on the card? And we said, absolutely.
And I was just drunk enough to say, but I mean, I'm not giving you any more money.
Yeah, that, and chances are, if she's open, she'll be on Girls Night Out. We discussed that. She's a good talent. Joey is just like unbelievable. Joey is just like the it guy right now, and he delivers every time. But Laredo Kid, that not getting lost thing was only for a month.
Well, and this was his birthday, actually.
Yes, Laredo Kid's birthday. He turned I don't know how much, but he kept telling everybody it's his birthday.
Parts unknown.
Unknown.
Birthday unknown.
But throughout the show, I'm checking my phone because I try to check social media live to see, to monitor social media, like especially the AIW account. And I get a notification, Laredo Kid is live on Facebook. But Laredo Kid was sitting 2 tables down from me doing his live video. And I kept yelling to him, and then 5 seconds later on the video, I would see him doing his hand movements. So Facebook Live is not actually live. There is a delay.
Well, sure, it's got to go up to the satellites that are in the air.
Zuckerberg's house.
Go to Zuckerberg's house.
But did he get lost?
Yes, he did get lost.
You really went
Right.
to a different area.
Yeah.
You said he got lost, and then you talked about Facebook Live.
Oh, because
And it turns out he was 2 tables down from me, which is not lost at all.
Laredo Kid, we were talking yesterday or last episode about how shitty Cleveland's airport is, and so Cleveland, to get a good Laredo flight that day, whatever, was impossible. So Laredo Kid flew in the night before, so he sent somebody to go get him. Well, he's waiting at the airport. Laredo Kid Facebooks me and says, I'm here. For the next half hour, you can't contact him, and the guy is looking for him in the airport. All of a sudden, probably about 45 minutes later, Laredo Kid hops back on Facebook, goes, oh, I'm in the car with the guy. The guy asks Laredo, where were you? He goes, oh, I was on the plane. And then he goes, but where were you for the last half hour, 45 minutes? Laredo goes, oh, I'm here now. So we don't know where this time went.
But all I do know from this is at some point there's a photograph of Laredo writing Laredo in snow. So I think he had disappeared. And
Yeah, he definitely went outside somewhere.
And he just...
Well, I think that was at the hotel, but it might be at the airport.
Yeah, I think he may have just decided... I don't know if he's ever seen snow before. He wrote... All I know is, I'm dealing with all this family stuff, and I look on Facebook, and I just see Laredo... written in snow.
Laredo Kid
written in snow in my Facebook feed, and I go, what the fuck is going on? Like, is he here? Like,
I don't think Thorne ever knew that he was coming in the day before.
Yeah, I had no idea. So I was super confused as to why Laredo Kid was writing his name out in snow.
So the person that we sent to get Laredo Kid at the airport, usually it's Dave the Potato Dawson, but he was busy that day doing what? I don't know. So the person we had at the airport goes, I can't find him. I said, check the Cinnabon, because Laredo Kid strikes me as a guy that loves cinnamon buns.
What a strange topic.
But that's what I told him. I said, check the Cinnabon at the food court.
And was he, in fact, at the Cinnabon?
No, he wasn't.
So you were wrong.
Yeah, I don't know where he was.
Are you sure you just didn't want Cinnabon?
No, I live so far away from the airport, it wouldn't have been worth it.
So on to the next match. For the second show in a row, we have a match that is weird and features a female and another competitor. And then that match is, of course, Britt Baker having a match with Swoggle.
I mean, we got to get those YouTube hits up, man.
I mean, what was the theory, the thought process behind this?
Yeah, we have a girl and put her against a midget.
All I know is Britt Baker probably never worked a midget before. And
just like Teresa Smothers.
Right, exactly.
And that's why we had back to the 4-way. That's not why we that's the secret reason why we booked Sanjay Dutt is he's Swoggle's handler. He has to agent all Swoggle's
matches. That's right.
He's the official producer for all Swoggle matches.
He did agent the Swoggle Tracy Smothers match. Shout out to Sanjay Dutt, who is at least the one person in the world that appreciates me on this podcast.
Shout out to Sanjay Dutt for giving me the best compliment I've ever received in my life. He says, I am the most well-functioning drunk he's ever seen next to Jeff Jarrett.
And that's a hell of a compliment.
That is a hell of a compliment.
And I think everybody on this podcast does love Double J. Shout out to JEFFJARRETT.
But I don't think I've ever received a better compliment than being a just as well functioning drunk than Double J.
Mr. Dutterson,
Do you
very
have balsa
complimentary.
wood guitars?
I wish.
Do you have laser engraved John Thorne guitars? I wish you did.
No, I don't. I do not. But I'm sure words can give us an accurate count on how much is in the TNA warehouse.
Robbie E. Hater Shades?
No, none of those.
So Swoggle and Britt Baker have a couple elements to this match. Starts off with a slow dance to the theme from Titanic, Celine Dion's "My Heart Will Go On," and then Swoggle tries to romance her a little bit, and then it got kind of aggressive there, don't you think, Biggins? He tied her hair to a guardrail.
Midgets are angry.
He actually threatened to stab me in the throat if I untied her hair from the
He wasn't
guardrail.
Leprechaun Origins, man.
Yeah.
That's true. And then Swoggle, he made it to the after party. More on that.
We'll talk
more
about
on that
that
momentarily. As Eddie Kingston. The next match was the Intense Championship title match. Alex Daniels with Gregory Iron taking on Matt Cross and the return of Grandma Cross.
Which she just bought a GA ticket, but somehow found a seat in the front row.
Front row. And
'Cause she was sitting in the bleachers, but then for this match, she moved up like it was like WrestleMania
right.
when they moved
We're
that
moving
certain
the
match's
families.
family.
Exactly.
I don't know. She came in through the front door. Everybody's like, oh, she's a plant. She's this. She came in with M-Dog's mom, and they bought tickets, and then she asked me where the beer tickets are.
Finds herself in the front row. Finds herself confronted by Gregory Iron. And for the second show in a row,
Whoa.
Gregory Iron...
M-Dog started it because he goes, Grandma, get him. And that's another clip on the internet that I find hilarious. I don't think it's a Vine anymore because Vine's dead, but it was a quick clip on Gregory Iron's page. He had a video somehow.
Yeah, Grandma Cross just throwing straight chops right to the chest of Gregory Iron.
I got to get sober for these shows, man.
Oh,
I lose
yeah.
a fan attacked Gregory Iron finally after all these years,
I mean,
and it was an 80-something-year-old woman.
It started off with Greg Iron saying salacious things towards Grandma Cross,
Well,
which is
the
not
best part
appropriate.
was when I'm watching it, he's doing pelvic thrust and blowing her kisses, and then she starts blowing kisses back, and I thought, whoa, this is getting weird.
And then she
But
beat
I
him
think
down.
she was trying to lure him in to attack him.
That's exactly what happened.
I basically take a night off and fucking all control is lost when Biggins has the keys to the castle.
Yeah, 80-year-old women are on the card.
What the fuck?
Well, in the final match of the night was supposed to be Josh Prohibition, Tim Donst, and if you were at the show or
Josh Prohibition versus Ray Monroe.
yes, sorry, Josh Prohibition versus Ray Monroe. It becomes Ray Monroe versus Tim Donst because Tim Donst attacks Josh Prohibition.
Yeah, and Josh was already coming into that injured, so Tim Donst just re-injured him, so that's why he was not able to wrestle.
Shows how much I know. All I know is Tim Donst wasn't even booked, and then this fucking...
He was there in a Santa outfit, and then he gave the Santa outfit away to somebody.
Yeah, Santa came out distracting Josh Prohibition.
Which,
And
Tim Donst using Santa Claus as a distraction when it was the 30th of the month.
Well, I think that's why Josh was so confused.
Biggins, what the fuck do you got going on the show?
Tim Donst must have found like a 90% off Santa outfit on the way to Cleveland. And Tim Donst, he just kept rambling about trying to get Gary back to get to Lobster Buffet. I don't know what's going
We're
on.
losing all control, man.
I don't know what's going on at that lobster buffet.
Thorne gets drunk and he just lobster buffets and Santa Claus and
I gotta enter the fucking AA program or something because
So
this show sounds like a fucking circus.
the show itself was fun. Obviously, pick up Jelly of the Month Club from Smart Mark Video, however you want to watch it. But then
I'm definitely gonna pick it up because I don't fucking remember a thing.
But then the real
Fucking
action,
Santa Clauses and midgets and fucking Tim Donst. What the fuck, grandmothers?
the real action comes at the Jelly of the Month Club after party. Once again, thanks to Mahals, we hope you'll have us back after we finish this story. We're invited to watch the Ronda Rousey fight there.
They coordinate in a matter of days.
Yeah, they give
it was
us
the very last minute.
Because it was somebody named Steve Guy's responsibility to find us an after party.
Steve Guy was told, "Don't worry about it," when Shayna Baszler wasn't booked anymore.
Well, we were trying to get a Pizzay Day.
Oh, well, yes. I was still working on it, but don't worry. Anyway, so we're there.
But
They actually
Lauren
did a nice
from
job.
Mahals puts this together in a couple days.
And
Gives us a private room with a big
there-
screen?
It's a private room upstairs at Mahals, and we're watching it on a big screen like you were saying. And so the fight ends, and everybody's wound up because they just saw fights.
A lot of Diet Coke.
before you continue to where I think you're going, I just want to put the blame on Hornswoggle and Eddie Kingston for taking advantage of my condition as it was throughout the evening. And when we arrive at Mahal's, they decide to give me shots of Jameson, which I hate. I hate it. And
well, he is an Irish leprechaun. What else is he going to drink?
So they give me these. They give me I don't know how many shots of whiskey, and that is where I am going to leave it.
Yeah.
So we're just standing around talking, upstairs. There's still, a bunch of the folding chairs around. And this one AIW fan kept coming up to us.
Now known as Kenny Wayne.
Yeah. He kept going, "Hey, man, you remember when you guys booked Kenny Wayne?" And nobody knows what he's talking about.
Nope.
And then about 10 minutes into this, people figure out he's talking about Jimmy Wang Yang.
Yes.
But Hornswoggle keeps calling him, "Hey, Kenny, get over
Wayne.
here."
And
So this guy all of a sudden thinks, "Hey, man, would you guys be impressed if I jump out this 2-story window?" And we go, "Number one, you're going to break the window jumping out of it. Number two, you're going to die." He goes, "No, man, I'll land on my feet."
which your legs would break. Now, during this time, Hornswoggle, for some reason, thinks we're only about 10 feet in the air. He has no clue how high up we actually are.
He has, he's a small
Right,
guy, so
yeah.
it doesn't really affect him.
Hornswoggle offers him $100 to actually do this and jump out the window.
And Kenny Wang was thinking about it
And
until
then he ups it to $250.
until Worldwide takes him out of the room. Worldwide took it upon himself to be the bouncer in Mahal's, even though his tag partner is the real bouncer in Mahal's.
But now you have to go back to the reason why Kenny Wang was escorted from the room, because as Hornswoggle keeps trying to barter with him to jump out the window, meanwhile, Kenny Wang says, if Eddie Kingston will go down there, I will send on out if I can land on him. Eddie says, no way. And then this is where drunk John Thorne comes into play.
John Thorne at one point, I think, was asleep.
He was. And then he wakes up. The
He
jacket
wakes up-
comes off.
Yeah, he wakes up, he throws the jacket off, and
He's wearing
just,
suspenders.
I had a full suit on.
Suspenders are on.
so there's all these folding chairs up in this room. It's just an empty room with like random like 70s furniture and then folding chairs. Well, he just starts sabuing people with chairs.
Well, first you got to remember, he gets up, and he's taking off his suspenders, and he tells Kenny Wang Yang he's finally done. He's tired of hearing about this jumping out the window. And he
Meanwhile-
looks at him and says, hey, man, you going to talk about it or be about it?
Meanwhile, for the last like probably 20 minutes, Thorne was asleep. His eyes were closed and his head was down. He wakes up with more energy than I've ever seen a human being have.
Ready to fight.
I had a power nap.
But then you just got mad at him for just being obnoxious. So you were gonna,
Don't tell me you're going to jump out of a fucking window and then not do it.
And
So-
this is why he gets escorted
yeah,
out of the room.
Worldwide escorts him out. Well, you get mad that he's gone, so you start.
Because
sabuing.
the guy was going to jump out of a window. How stupid could you be?
He starts throwing steel chairs at me.
Yeah, you start throwing him at Steve Guy.
I just catch one out of the air.
Steve Guy just catches him and swats him away.
That's my way.
Then you hit somebody. No, before Kaplan, there was somebody else he hit with a chair.
He knocked a drink out of my hand eventually.
Okay.
Oh, threw one at Worldwide when he came back in the room.
Yeah, Worldwide
because he
came
took
back in the
Kenny
room.
Wang
Because you
out.
didn't let the guy jump out of the window.
So then he hits Kaplan with a chair. Well, Kaplan's so dumb that he just let the chair hit him in the head.
He wanted to,
Unprotected
yeah.
chair shot. Well, then me and Hornswoggle are standing like against the one room. All of a sudden, a lady runs out in her pajamas going, "Get the fuck out of my house." So this room at Mahal's is some lady's apartment.
Well, it's people who work there, and the one of the owners stays there when in town.
Okay, well, she was in pajamas,
I
mad
guess,
that
is the
steel
case.
chairs were being thrown.
Well, you can't
see
blame
anybody
her.
in pajamas,
You can't
dude.
exactly blame her. And then Lauren, who
People
helps
just-
set this
people
up,
People don't know how to have fun.
comes upstairs.
Me and
asks her to come
Hornswoggle have
down.
never laughed more in our lives than this woman in pajamas telling everybody to get the fuck out of her
The
house.
suspenders keep coming down from John Thorne.
You kept putting
meanwhile.
them back up and ripping them off.
Swoggle
Third
and
angle,
Eddie
baby.
Kingston.
Straps
yeah.
are coming down.
And then you kept
Kurt
getting
Angle's theme music being played in the background.
You couldn't get out of your head that you wanted to shoot press slam Hornswoggle. So you keep trying to lift him, but he's a very bottom heavy fella.
Yes.
He's
Then
a heavy little guy.
Then we're yeah.
Eventually you
That's
got him
what
up
you
though,
said.
and you couldn't believe it.
And then we're downstairs in the bar area because
And
we
you
got
give
kicked out.
you give a fireman's carry to a
Weird
weird
body.
body.
F5.
Well,
It's
it was
rated
more
F5.
of a fireman's carry because you were running around.
Oh,
with
actually,
him.
no. I was going for an ankle slam because the straps were down.
Right.
You were running
Almost-
around with him on your shoulders.
Almost hit his head off a pillar.
Yeah, his head almost knocks over all the bottles, hits up on a pillar, and he just is like,
That fucking guy shouldn't have woke me up. I would have been sleeping fine.
In that lady's house.
Meanwhile, also still shouting, "I will never retire."
Oh, yeah, so at some point I became Ric Flair.
Wild Kurt Angle.
Wild Kurt Angle.
They all blended together, and it just chaos. So basically, the after party is John Thorne being drunk, being
It was fun, though. Mahals loved it.
being antagonized by
I
Eddie
don't know if they
Kingston
loved it, but
and Swaggle.
They invited us back, so it can't be that bad.
Nobody gets arrested on this night. However, I will say this, because Eddie Kingston crashed at my place. We get home. We're there about 15, 20 minutes. Eddie's taking a shower. 2 cops show up at my door.
What do they want?
They come knocking and pounding on the door. They say, we got a call for a disturbance, that there was a big brawl going on at your address. I'm like, what? The brawl was at Mayhall's, not at my house. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. My buddy's a professional wrestler. I work the show. We just got back. I mean, we've only been here for maybe 15, 20 minutes.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, definitely wasn't us. And
no
they're
police
like,
came for me.
and they're cool. Can we just...
Has Lakewood cops never seen a half Puerto Rican, half Irishman?
Well, that was... So they are standing outside, and then they say, do you mind if we come in, just make sure nobody's bloody and everything isn't, messed up? I go, yeah, sure, no problem. Eddie was in, as I said, was in the shower. I'm standing in the kitchen. My bathroom is connected to the kitchen. Bathroom door opens up. There's Eddie Kingston, shirtless, walks out into a room with 2 cops. To have...
I'm sure he's used to that.
Right, of all people...
Kingston, I would almost wonder if the cops think you're some kind of hostage or something.
Exactly. In my mind, I'm like, there are 2 people that this would be a terrible thing for, to walk out and see police officers unannounced. Eddie Kingston and homicide. Thankfully, Eddie Kingston, who just comes out like, what the fuck?
Sir, what is your name? Homicide!
So, obviously, nobody's bloodied. I still have no idea what this disturbance was. Cops leave. Nobody arrested on this night. But it was scary.
I'm glad that nobody was arrested.
I don't know how we got away with chairs being thrown and not...
In that lady's house.
What's amazing is they didn't kick us out of the bar.
No, they just said go downstairs to the
go
bar and
downstairs.
drink more.
Yeah, go drink more downstairs.
Somebody should have took me home, I think.
Somebody did eventually.
Yeah, hopefully. Nick Sanka?
Oh, I didn't get home for days.
You made it home, though. We're in the home right now, the
Yeah.
studio apartment.
That's
I made
right.
it home, but for days I was just wearing a suit and suspenders.
Any final thoughts on the Jelly of the Month Club here?
Can't wait to watch it.
Lauren wants to watch it for the first time. Everything I saw of it was excellent. The December shows, for the most part, the last couple years have always been a highlight of the year, so I think this was the same.
Well, that's going to do it here for us on The Card is Going to Change from AIW. Thank you to everybody that attended any of our shows, bought any sort of merchandise, or bought any of the shows from 2016. I think I speak for Chandler Biggins and John Thorne when I say we hope to see you at plenty of our shows in 2017, which have yet to happen yet. First one being February 17th. Check that out. Thanks again to our sponsors, Smart Mark Video, Jack Prince, and Angelo's Pizza.
And let's not forget thanks to Mahals
Thanks to Mahals.
for not pressing charges. For not
No one did jump out the window. It's okay.
Well, it's probably better that way.
Yeah.
for not making me pay for any repairs. Thank you for that. I apologize to anybody that I allegedly hit with a steel chair
Yeah.
or any other foreign object that I found throughout the night. I know one point that Hornswoggle was autographing a bowling
He
pin
did autograph a bowling pin.
that
yes.
I got a hold of and almost broke some things. So thanks, Mahals.
Yeah, and so
And I will be stone cold sober for all of 2017.
Yeah, okay.
we'll see about that. At this point, you've probably heard enough stories of the after parties that happened in 2016. You should.
So be there in 2017.
And there you go. Once again, I'm Steve Guy for Chandler Biggins and John Thorne. Have a good week, everybody.
Thanks. You know.
Ugh.